He was released in April 2020 as part of the budget cuts. Post WWE, he launched Control Your Narrative, an indie
was a good idea, but he had a little bit too much stipulation and weird rules.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
Yo, what up? It's Maj back here to another video. Today we're about to be reacting to a video by Wrestling Fusion. The video is going to be on what happened to every forgotten WWE wrestler. That's right, another new batch of forgotten wrestlers, I guess, quote unquote. I guess it's probably like classified as like who's not in the public eye anymore. But hey, before we get into this, don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked my reaction content so far, if you've been watching videos on my channel, and if you're new here, maybe I'll own your sub at the end of the video. Let's keep it that way. But let's get into it.
From retirement to signing with TNA, from going through a tough divorce to starting their own wrestling company, this is what happened to every forgotten WWE wrestler, starting with one of the most beloved comedy wrestlers of the PG era, Santino Marella. Santino arrived in the WWE with a heavily accented Italian stereotype gimmick and somehow defeated Umaga to win the Intercontinental Championship on his first night. At the 2012 Royal Rumble, he lasted until the final two, nearly eliminating Alberto Del
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, he had a crazy ass debut, bro. Not like anybody else who wins a championship when you first debut. You would think you would take that nigga serious, but nigga, what happened to this nigga after this, he got turned into a comedy wrestler with the quickness.
Rio. He won the US title and even won the tag titles with Vladimir Kozlov. And of course, who could forget his iconic finisher, the Cobra? But by 2015, the novelty had worn thin. Injuries piled up. Creative had nothing left for the character. Marella asked for his own release, and WWE granted it in 2016. After leaving, he founded Battle Arts Academy in Ontario and became the official ambassador of Judo Canada. He trained his daughter Bianca, now known as Ariana Grace. In 2023, he returned to TNA and became the on-screen director of Authority. And thanks to the WWE TNA partnership, Marella made his on-screen return to WWE in February 2025, appearing on NXT. He was never in the conversation for a main event run, but few people left a bigger comedic footprint on the PG era than Santino Marella. He figured out exactly what he was good at and made a full career out of it. Even today, if you look up the funniest wrestling moments of all time, Santino makes up almost half of that list. But while Santino always knew his role and played it brilliantly, our next forgotten...
That was a fucking disgrace. I mean, it was a funny moment, but that was a disgrace with this nigga won the Divas Championship.
Star had a role the audience loved, and WWE slowly let it slip through their fingers anyway. After 6 years on the independent circuit, Elias joined WWE in 2014 as part of the NXT roster. In August 2015, he debuted a new drifter musician character, approaching the ring with a guitar and defeating Bull Dempsey. The gimmick worked like magic. The drifter who played songs insulting whatever city he was in, who asked for silence before every performance, who said WWE stands for Walk with Elias. Nobody else on the roster was doing anything like it. He made his main roster debut in May 2017 on Raw and feuded against names like Jason Jordan, John Cena.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like Elias' whole gimmick was really like unique, and they could have did something to like push him in like at least an Intercon title scene and let him win at least once. But like, did he win any championships? I don't know. Hopefully he tells us, because like I do not remember.
Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and others. He aligned with Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre soon after and won the 24/7 championship in 2019. And then came the strangest chapter. In April 2022, Elias returned to TV, but not as Elias. He came back as Ezekiel, his own alleged younger brother. Kevin Owens refused to believe Ezekiel wasn't Elias, and the feud that followed became one of the more genuinely bizarre and entertaining bits of television WWE produced that year. But it ended without payoff. Owens powerbombed Ezekiel onto the ring apron in August 2022, stretchering him out and ending the feud. Elias returned as himself in October, was paired with Matt Riddle briefly, mentored Rick Boogs, went undrafted in the 2023 draft, and was released in September 2023. He started wrestling on the independents in early 2024 under the new name Elijah and debuted in TNA in February 2025 as part of The Righteous alongside Vincent and Dutch. In May 2025, he made a surprise return to NXT, entering a battle royal for the #1 contender spot before being eliminated by Shawn Spears. The guitar, the entrance, the crowd interaction, there was a ceiling on Elias that the company never seemed interested in raising. Today, he continues wrestling on the indies, but he's nowhere near the star he was during his prime in WWE. Elias spent his entire career—
Man, that really fucking sucks. Like, he could never really like reach his potential. I saw the potential in it, honestly, because around that time, like, WWE still needed a lot of stars to come up, but like, They were too busy pushing Roman Reigns, and you know, Roman Reigns during that time, it was always speculated, and it was always, you know, really like heavy him getting pushed a lot. But like they could have made new wrestlers' names back then, but like not everybody gets a chance. I know. I say that a lot during this video. I would have like been glad if they got a push, but like not everybody gets a chance. I get it.
Career being almost over with the fans, but the next name on this list was the hottest thing on Raw for one night, and the company had no idea what to do with it. Curtis Hussey had been in the WWE system since 2006, training in Deep South Wrestling and then Florida Championship Wrestling as Johnny Curtis. Then, in 2013, he came to the main roster with a new identity, Fandango, a ballroom dancer who refused to wrestle unless you could pronounce his name correctly. He made his main roster debut against Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 29 and pulled off one of the biggest upsets in WrestleMania history. And then something even stranger happened. The next night on Raw, the crowd started singing his entrance music unprompted. They called it Fandangoing. It spread to arenas around the country for weeks. He was getting mainstream media coverage. For a brief window, Fandango was one of the most talked about acts in the company, but a concussion sidelined him from a payback match where he was scheduled to win the Intercontinental Championship, and during his absence, his stock within the company fell significantly. He came back.
Man, the injury bug, bro. I'm up here thinking like WWE kind of didn't know what to do at that time, but then it's either one or the other. They don't know what to do, or it's just an injury bug. Ugh. This whole time I was thinking like, bro just got fumbled. He got fumbled after this because he could have made a good ass like return and comeback, but like it really fucking sucks.
Back to a company that had already moved on. The Fandangoing frenzy was over. He spent the rest of 2013 chasing the Intercontinental title and gradually sliding down the card. In 2016, he formed Breezango with Tyler Breeze, and the Fashion Police segments they produced on SmackDown in 2016 and 2017 were some of the most creative comedy content WWE had on the air. Fandango suffered a serious shoulder injury in 2018 that kept him out for over a year, and by the time he returned, Breezango had been moved to NXT before being released together in June 2021. He signed with TNA as Dirty Dango, and later joined the System faction alongside Moose and Eddie Edwards. In November 2025, he announced his retirement from in-ring competition, and on January 17th, 2026, he lost. EC3 was straight up criminal. EC3 is the rare case of a wrestler who had to leave WWE twice to prove he was worth having. His first run was as Derek Bateman, a forgettable NXT character with almost nothing to work with creatively. He was released in May 2013. But what happened next was truly magical. He signed with TNA, became Ethan Carter III, the arrogant, privileged on-screen nephew of TNA owner Dixie Carter, and ran one of the most memorable undefeated streaks in history. The character was bulletproof. Rich, cruel, cowardly when cornered, and genuinely compelling television. He won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship twice and the Impact Grand Championship once. He returned to WWE in January 2018, debuting in NXT and competing in the ladder match for the inaugural North American Championship.
Bro, it's crazy because around this time, this was like the height of like still it was like the lower height of NXT, but they were still in their black and gold like type of era. But like it really sucks because he wasn't given a chance, bro. He just popped up there and that was pretty much it. And they really didn't do nothing to him. It really surprised me that Triple H really didn't do nothing with him. Well, this was before Triple H started like fumbling like hell throughout the years. This was way before that. But then he got pushed up to the roster, and then I think this nigga was just done because Vince McMahon didn't have nothing for him.
Lost, but the match was excellent. He then feuded with Velveteen Dream through the summer, lost at TakeOver, suffered a concussion during that match that delayed his main roster call-up, and by the time he got to Raw in early 2019, the window had closed. Vince McMahon reportedly disliked his first dark match pairing with Drake Maverick, and the partnership never made it to television. He spent 2019 bouncing between 24/7 championship segments and house shows. His best moment on the main roster was defeating Dean Ambrose on Raw, a win WWE buried immediately by giving him nothing to follow it up with. He was released in April 2020 as part of the budget cuts. Post-WWE, he launched Control Your Narrative, an indie promotion built around wrestlers telling their own stories without...
I'm not gonna lie, this was a good idea, but he had a little bit too much stipulation and weird rules that like they were kind of thought of like kind of like, you know, caring about wrestling, but like it really didn't kind of work because like that's what all wrestling is nowadays, you know, the suicide dives and like he just had like a bunch of weird rules in this shit.
without corporate interference. But the experiment collapsed quickly once Braun Strowman and Karrion Kross returned to WWE. He signed with the NWA in 2023, won the World's Heavyweight Championship by defeating Tyrus, held it for 370 days, and lost it to Tom Latimer in August 2024. In January 2026, he announced he was leaving NWA. A few days ago, reports surfaced that he was returning to TNA. Whether EC3 can recapture his former magic in the company remains to be seen. But switching gears, let's talk about a luchador.
Hey, no, I'm not gonna lie. I hope he returns to TNA and does his shit there.
Who never got the launchpad he deserved in WWE. Kalisto grew up between Chicago and Mexico City, fell in love with Lucha Libre as a kid, and spent years on the Midwest independent circuit as Samurai del Sol before anyone in a major company took notice. He nearly quit in 2011 after miscalculating a dive at an indie show and crashing skull-first onto concrete. He sold his masks at a fan festival, ready to walk away. But then, WWE called. He signed in May 2013 and was assigned to NXT, where he teamed with Sin Cara as the Lucha Dragons and won the NXT Tag Team Championship in September 2014. On the main roster from early 2015, the Lucha Dragons became one of the more exciting tag teams on the card, never quite getting the belts, but always delivering in matches. Then, in January 2016, came his peak. Kalisto defeated Alberto Del Rio for the United States Championship. For a brief stretch, he was positioned as WWE's replacement for Rey Mysterio, but the company cycled through booking ideas without committing to any of them. He had a brief feud with Braun Strowman in 2017.
Oh my god, they always throwing like smaller wrestlers to the wolves, and what I mean to the wolves, like the Braun Strowman, Big Shows, just every bigger ass wrestlers, so they could just chuck them around and make them sell. But man, the Lucha Dragons, nigga, they whole thing was just cool, bro. Back in 2013, man, it was just like Usos, the Lucha Dragons. I think Primo and Epico had their little forgot that, the Los Luchadors, something like that. And that, bro, it was just all of them wrestling back and forth for the fucking tag team championships. No, the tag team division was good back then.
He won the Cruiserweight Championship in 2018. He joined Lucha House Party with Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado in 2018, and by 2020, he'd been separated from the group. Reports from the Wrestling
Lucha
Observer
Flop
indicated
Party,
his release in April 2021 came partly after creative conflicts, including disagreements over the direction of Lucha House Party. What happened after his release was tragic. Shortly after, he was hospitalized for a month with a stomach ulcer and 2 heart attacks that nearly killed him. He considered retiring for good. But a charity event organized by Mojo Rawley for children with autism brought him back. He made an AEW appearance in late 2021, wrestled for CMLL in 2023, and continues competing on the independent circuit as Samurai del Sol. But while the odds were always stacked against Kalisto, this next wrestler is someone who had every advantage: looks, credentials, famous connections, and still couldn't make it work. David Otunga walked into wrestling.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like David Otunga, he had the fire ass song, bro. We already know that, man. It was like, oh, way up, bro, nigga. It's just something that just never kind of clicked with the crowd, bro. Like, every time he used to come out, they booed him. He used to always flex and do that little thing, but like, we know when he gets in the ring, we know somebody was always going to end up humiliating him or beating him. Like, bro, it was a one match with him and Ezekiel Jackson. It was just so underwhelming.
With a resume that made no sense for the industry. He graduated from Harvard Law School, was engaged to Grammy-winning artist Jennifer Hudson, and had appeared on a VH1 reality show. WWE signed him in 2008 and put him on the first season of NXT in 2010, where he finished as runner-up to Wade Barrett. Then came the moment that defined his whole career. On June 7th, 2010, 8 NXT rookies invaded Raw, destroyed the set, attacked announcers, and ambushed John Cena in one of the most shocking segments WWE had produced in years. The Nexus was born, and Otunga was a key part of it. But as the faction slowly got dismantled, Otunga was left exposed. The problem was always the same. The look was there, but in the ring, he never developed beyond a basic level. He aligned with John Laurinaitis in 2011 and was mostly stuck in non-wrestling roles for the remainder of his run. By 2015, he officially retired from in-ring competition and transitioned.
I'm not gonna lie, I really fucking hated this nigga in the damn John Laurinaitis. Bro, to me and him in that role, he committed to it so well, and it actually really made me hate this nigga, bro. He was just like that annoying ass character. Like, every time he got like fucked up by like the hero or whatever he was going against, I was like, yes, nigga.
Into a commentary role. However, that chapter also ended quietly as his WWE contract was not renewed and he departed in 2020. Since then, he's focused on acting, his legal career, and bodybuilding. His Instagram shows him competing in classic physique competitions, and he identifies himself as a single father. He also has a YouTube channel where he talks about wrestling and his days in the WWE.
I'm not gonna lie, that's cool, bro. Hey, at least for some of these people it ended off on a good note. I know. Well, a lot of these people ended off on a good note because they either end up wrestling or end up doing a true passion or end up, doing what the hell they wanted to do. But a lot of, I don't think I forgot about a lot of these wrestlers. Honestly, when they name coming up in recent times and, people mention them here and there, of course I'm gonna know who they are. But yeah. But yeah, hope everything going well for these people. And man, if you like that video, go check out Wrestling Fusion's original video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. We on the road to 550.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?